The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine grower. He takes away every branch in me that does not bear fruit, and every one that does, he prunes, so it will bear more fruit. You are already pruned because of the word that I spoke to you. Remain in me as I remain in you. Just as a branch cannot bear fruit on its own unless it remains on the vine, so neither can you unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever remains in me and I in him will bear much fruit, because without me you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me will be thrown out like a branch and wither. People will gather them and throw them into a fire, and they will be burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask for whatever you want, and it will be done for you. By this my Father glorified, that you may bear much fruit and become my disciples." The Gospel of the Lord.
I was hearing about the things going on in Baltimore this last week, and I don't watch TV. A lot of it's just junk. I don't read the newspaper because it's propaganda. That's all it is. And of course, in the news, it's more propaganda about everything else. But I was kind of paying attention to what was going on in Baltimore, everything going on. I saw Ray Lewis kind of had a video on his Facebook, and he was almost to tears, really begging people not to do what they're doing. And I kind of I asked myself, well, what is that a fruit of? What these kids that are doing this, what is that a fruit of? And really what it came down to, the first thing, there are many things you can think of, there are a lot of things. The first thing I thought of was, there's no prayer in the schools. In the public schools, it's actually, the state's made it illegal to even bring God to the schools. It's like you've made it illegal to have goodwill to your brother, because usually when we're praying for somebody, it's goodwill. So you just made it illegal to have goodwill towards your neighbor. And so it was like, okay, I always get thinking about that, and the problem with this absence of God and in our society. And I always hear this problem with atheism, and many it's an oxymoron. Catholic atheists, people who were Catholic, grew up Catholic but denounced their faith since then, and they sit there and they whine and moan. Oh, they're crying. Oh, I had to go to Mass for the whole hour every week. Boo-hoo. Give that man a handkerchief, okay? Would you please? And you notice, it's usually a guy. It's a man sit there and whining. I've never seen a woman complain about going to Mass on Sunday. It's usually the guy. Really? Man up? Really? It's ridiculous. And to sit there to complain about faith being expressed in the public square, ain't got a leg to stand on. A lot of people will complain about our faith and how bad our faith is. Do you know where the Hospitallers came from? Hospitallers were a holy order in the church. They didn't start hospitals. They actually started before then with the saints, but I'm going to scandalize you a little bit. The Hospitallers were founded in the Crusades. They don't tell you that in college, do they? They would serve anybody who was sick, even a Muslim who came to their hospitals. They were served. Why is it that the hospitals are flooded with Catholic people? It's because it prepares our heart for the service for others. That's what the Catholic Church does. If it weren't for the Catholic Church, there would be no hospitals. Actually, when it comes to higher education, it was the Catholic Church that founded colleges and education, and an education system. Started 800 years ago, the first colleges. They started in the cathedral. That's where they first met. And yet at the same time, these atheists will send their sons and daughters to a Catholic high school because they know it's higher education, because it's college prep place. I mean, really, you sit there and you blame the church, and yet you give your children to the church to educate them, yet calling them stupid at the same time. You contradict yourself. We have a lot to be proud of in our faith. And as I look here and I wonder myself, they say only 10% of Catholics practice the faith. 10%. And I look at what happened in Baltimore. Would something of Baltimore would have happened if 50% of our Catholics would have practiced the faith? My goodness. We've spent so many years as Catholics shutting up because these people tell us to be quiet. No more. No more should we be quiet. We need to demand that prayer in Jesus Christ and faith belongs in our schools. And it doesn't start with me, it starts with you. I can't do it. I'm only a priest. You are the people. You are the ones sending your kids to the schools. You demand it. If you want this world to be a better place, you have to demand it. If it comes from me, they're going to say, look at that priest, he's being mean, he's forcing it on everybody. I'm not the one forcing it on. You want this to be a better place? What kind of fruit do you want in this society? Why did the people do what they did in Baltimore? It's because it wasn't an injustice. An injustice has been done. Now, I don't know about the grave issue or anything like that, but we know the history. And we should know from being Catholic. Anybody who's been Catholic and came to America, know they've been persecuted. Go back to your own roots. And I don't like this word. I don't like to talk about this too much. But, St. Mary's Church is an Irish Catholic church. How many of you have Irish blood in you? You know what they used to call the Irish Catholics back in the turn of the century, 1900, a little bit before, in the 1800s, especially in the Northeast, the New England coast? You know what they used to call them? I hate this word. You only hear me say it once. They used to call them the white niggers. That's nasty. They used to do lynchings of Irish Catholics in the East Coast. Priests were killed in the Salem witch hunts. Do you not know your faith? Do you not know where your faith is from? That's why we're always for the little guy. We're always for those who are suppressed. But the return in violence is unacceptable. It is totally unchristian. It is anti-Christ. It is straight from hell. It is straight from Satan. It is unacceptable behavior, period. We do not retaliate with violence. And the Irish didn't do that. They did it through love. They became part of society, supporting society, lifting people up. That's what we do as Catholics. So we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing? We see a lot of people out there who need help. What are we doing? We were there once. What are we doing? We got St. Vincent de Paul. Great, awesome. We need more volunteers. We need volunteers to help these people. Give them the hand up, not just a hand out. Because that's Catholics, that's what we do. We don't make them dependent, we make them independent. Give them their dignity. Treat them like they're a human being. That's what we do. Catholic Charities. Everything worldwide. Helping out with those in the tornado. The earthquake halfway across the world. We don't burn people's homes. We have an obligation to practice our faith. Where's your backbone? Get your backbone back. Learn your faith. Know about Jesus Christ. The goodness of our faith, what the saints have done. Don't let the media, those who got a political agenda, to tell you what your faith, what your religion is doing. Learn your faith. Love your faith. Love the people. Be an example. Serve. We have so many good things in our faith. We have an awesome Pope. Our last popes of the last 100 years have all been awesome. Pope Pius XII was awesome. He saved thousands, tens of thousands of Jews. He saved. Don't let the world tell you otherwise. Jesus and Paul calls us back to repentance. Jesus always opens the door for us. He loves you. He loves them out there. He loves even, yes, those people who are burning those places down. He loves them all. We need to bring that love of God towards others. Paul was persecuted. He was put to death. He was beheaded for bringing the love of Jesus Christ. And if people want to make bringing Jesus Christ, bringing the love of God illegal, then fine. I'll be arrested. I don't care. I'd rather die doing God's will than live in knowing the guilt of not doing something when I could have been doing something. As Catholics and as Christians, we need to demand that Jesus Christ live in our society and be alive. And not look for excuses to abandon him. Look for excuses to not practice our faith. Look for excuses to be as far away as possible from his love. It's crazy. We contradict ourselves when we follow the ways of the world. We need to take this country back as Christians. This great nation has Christian roots, undeniable Christian roots. As Catholics, we've always had it very hard because it is a Protestant Christian background. But they have welcomed us over time. And we need to welcome others. This great nation, the reason why it's great is because of Jesus Christ. What happened in Baltimore is a black eye to this nation. It's a black eye because people keep on turning their heads on the needs of others, and we don't support the people that the police haven't gotten their support either, because not all police are bad. Yes, there are injustices. Are we a perfect nation? No. Are we a perfect people? No, absolutely not. But we do the best we can, and we repent, and we come to him. We come to him for our strength. We come to him for his grace, and we bring other people to grace. And his grace should never be abandoned. His grace should never be illegal, because he died on the cross for us. He was willing to sacrifice himself totally to us. What can we do for him? What can we do for him and our brothers and sisters? If you can talk, you can pray. I don't care how gray or white your head is. You can always pray. You can always talk to people and encourage peace and mercy and reconciliation. We don't defeat evil by manifesting more evil. We defeat evil by the grace and the love of Jesus Christ. Then, this great nation will start bearing its beautiful fruit once again. And the glory of God can be our foundation.
Lay your hands gently upon us. Let their touch render your peace. Let them bring your forgiveness and healing.